Phil, we've just had the last ever Star Wars film.
The last one
Ever.
Such a shame. They only started in 2015.
Yeah.
And now they're just over. It's
the end of an era.
It's the end of an era.
The saga ends.
The films that defined the 2010s.
Yeah. No, it's the last of the Skywalker Saga. And even then, I think that's probably a bit loosey-goosey, because it doesn't mean it's the last even of this time period. It doesn't mean it's the last featuring any of these characters. Just the last in the... Yeah, anyway. It's done. What did you think of Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker?
It's very difficult to not go into spoilers, but it was... I liked it, but it was a mixed bag of stuff. So, usually, as people have listened to this podcast before know, my opening line to lead into the episode is based off whatever we're discussing that week. And this week it still was. At times it did feel like the script was just taken from a book of Star Wars Mad Libs.
Pretty much, yeah. It's
and just strung together. We'll get into the details in our spoiler review, which will probably be sooner rather than later, because I'm not sure how much there is to discuss without starting to spoil stuff.
We can briefly discuss, let's do an overview of this film. So it's J.J. Abrams has returned to direct and write along with Chris Terrio, known for Batman v Superman.
I know.
Who says it's convoluted? But anyway, yeah, J.J. Abrams returns, and I think we've gone back to a kind of Force Awakens-esque style of a lot of nostalgia, even nostalgia for films that you only saw in 2015, which I thought was a bit odd. A lot of nostalgia, very quick editing, very quick cuts, glossing over a lot of stuff, which made for, again, like Force Awakens, it's an enjoyable movie, lacking somewhat in depth.
Yeah.
I'm going to try and make this review easier. I've put in front of me a little pot of money, which I'm going to call the compare jar, which is like a swear jar, but you have to put money in there every time you compare it to another film. And I've already done Force Awakens, so I'm just going to pop one in there just to kick us off. Because I want to try and keep this review as focused as possible about the Rise of Skywalker, rather than comparing it to other entries in the Star Wars universe. But yeah, what did you make of it?
It's just it was out of the Force Awakens. I kind of knew how I felt.
Put a coin in the compare jar and put one in for you.
I was going to say, what happens to that money in that compare jar? Do we get the money from each other's comparing?
Sure.
Because you just go ahead and start comparing. Compared to previous iterations, I was probably the most what did I think of that movie when I left? It's so confusing at times.
Yeah, I'm exactly the same. And I wanted to rewatch it before doing this review.
I almost went to go see it last night.
Yeah.
But I couldn't be asked to go out, so I just watched The Last Jedi again.
Everyone at work keeps asking me what I thought of it, because they know I'm a massive Star Wars fan, and therefore my opinion is a high one. But I have to just tell everyone, I was like, I don't know. I don't know what I think about it.
The individual component bits, which we'll get into in spoilers, I know I liked or I didn't like. The film as a whole is such a confusing mess. But it also had cool bits in it.
Yes.
It was literally I was reading an interview with Chris, was it Terrio?
Yeah.
Where he talked about the process of writing the film, and apparently they did literally write down everything they ever wanted to see in a Star Wars film and went from there.
Feels like that, doesn't it? It feels...
And it literally, it feels like a Star Wars fan film.
Yes.
But two particular fans, and these fans are J.J. Abrams and Chris Terrio. And people give the last film grief because that was I knew you were going to do that, even though I didn't say The Last Jedi. Because Rian Johnson made what he wanted to make in a Star Wars film, but at least he was how can I make this different? He wanted to make the next Empire.
Yeah.
Whereas this was just they weren't even thinking in such grand schemes. They were just thinking like, what would be a cool set piece, and then we move on.
Yeah, basically, and yeah, what do people want to see? And I mean, I think inevitably, I mean, you could tell from early trailers that this was going to kind of retcon certain events within. Does this count?
Well, the thing is, you're being very liberal with the comparison jar. I feel it's very difficult to review the third in a trilogy without at least referencing the first two a little bit.
Yeah. By the way, I rewatched The Last Jedi prior to watching this one, and I think, given time, it probably stands up a bit better as a film compared to the last time I rewatched The Force Awakens. Because The Force Awakens relies a lot on nostalgia, and once that fades, you're kind of left with something a little bit hollow. Whereas, having rewatched the other one, there are sort of themes and messages and stuff which kind of hold up on its own without necessarily having to refer back to previous ones. And
the film. I'm right in saying that The Last Jedi is still longer than The Rise of Skywalker, isn't it?
Yes.
But it, like, as much as on initial watchings it made it seem a bit long, there were bits when I was rewatching it I was like, that was absolutely necessary. Because you get that long sequence of like Rey practicing with the lightsaber around the rock, with like the panning shot and the music playing, and it felt like no individual shot was held for as long as that shot was in The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker. The Rise of Skywalker could have done with being an extra 30 minutes long.
Yeah, I agree.
So they could have actually realised a few of the better concepts.
Yeah, I was going to say, because I feel like as well they introduce elements that they weren't I don't necessarily think they were aiming for when they wrote and I think it's on record that they wrote The Force Awakens a little bit hastily. Because obviously Disney wanted to make use of this property as soon as they could. And I don't necessarily think that the ideas presented in The Rise of Skywalker can date back to when they wrote The Force Awakens.
So let's go over a few things that were good.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, this is John Williams' probably final Star Wars film, and he does a fantastic job on the score.
I have to actually just pick up on that briefly. I can't remember any themes from this one specifically.
I remember remixes of basically the old themes.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing, is that like I remember there were certain tracks. I'm going to run out of coins. There were certain tracks in The Force Awakens, like the first time you hear Kylo Ren's theme, the first time you hear Rey's theme, and then in The Last Jedi, where you hear like Luke on the island, and then like the Spark, which is the track that plays over Luke and Leia's reunion / him going out and facing the First Order. I think like there's tracks that like jump out.
Yeah.
Whereas I think this I can't, because this is like a sort of best of compilation of Star Wars, and
that's probably the best way to describe the film.
Yeah, exactly. It's quite safe. It's cozy. There's some weird, surprisingly similar moments to Avengers Endgame at times, which we'll go over in spoilers. It just kind of, it's so, I don't know, I found it safe. And
yeah, no, the thing is, those people who cynically, well, actually, there's people who correctly said The Force Awakens was just A New Hope again, and then I think rather cynically, and it's a bit of a reach, said that The Last Jedi was just Empire. They're gonna have no issue saying that this is just basically Return.
Yeah.
Just because of certain.
There's a lot. That was a deep leveled comparison, Phil. You went kind of.
I'm spending all your money.
Yeah, Inception levels of comparisons there.
But what I liked was the fact that this is basically due to how The Force Awakens set the pieces up. This is the only film in the trilogy where you get an adventure of the main three together, which I actually quite liked.
Yeah, that was fun, and I liked there's some kind of Indiana Jonesy type sort of looking for totems, well, looking for plot points actually is how I would describe it. But either way, it's quite a fun kind of MacGuffins is quite. But it's quite fun seeing those three, sort of the core cast, interact properly for the first time as a trio. And performance-wise, I think all these actors have matured a lot, and I think Daisy Ridley, especially in this one, has come a long way since The Force Awakens.
Yeah.
But of course, I think the highlight of this entire trilogy is probably Adam Driver, and no different in this film in that he makes everything believable and heartfelt, and you can see his pain throughout all of these films, and I think he's definitely, probably for me, the highlight of this.
Which is weird when I think back. You might as well just empty that pot. When I think back to The Force Awakens, Kylo Ren was probably the bit I found least interesting in that film. It was the Last Jedi that gave him the depth and the character. And to be honest, in part of that was that very early scene where he gets insulted by Snoke and destroys his mask in frustration.
Yeah.
It's a very powerful scene, which gets undone in this film. It's in the trailers. Yeah.
He glues it back together.
And then he wears it for one scene and then takes it off again.
I think maybe the mask does mean something, because we finally get to see the Knights of Ren, who were hinted at in... I've actually run out of coins. We're going to have to stop the compare jar. And as we've established, we can't do a review of this film without referring to other films. But no, we finally get the sort of the Knights of Ren who are hinted at in The Force Awakens. And
I wanted to talk about the Knights of Ren, but it'd be spoilers, so I'm going to have to...
I'll remind you about those. But yeah, I think Kylo Ren putting on the helmet is kind of to make himself seem tougher when he's leading the Knights of Ren. And again, I also, having thought on it for a few days, and having watched The Mandalorian up to where it is now, I think Star Wars... And to be honest, I work in a cinema, so I see exactly who's going through the doors to see this kind of film. And yeah, you get the midnight screeningers who come in, but they're not... The midnight screening people aren't the core audience of a Star Wars film.
No.
The core audience are families, kids, and people who have now grown up with this trilogy. And, you and I grew up with the prequels, which I think is kind of... It's aged well for us, because it's what we grew up on, and we loved Star Wars as a kid because we saw the Star Wars prequels in the cinema.
Yeah.
If the Star Wars prequels hadn't come out where they were when they did, you and I probably wouldn't be the fans that we are now. And
that's true.
I think it's easy to look at Rise of Skywalker and say, oh well, it's not exactly what I expected, whatever. But films, and every single film is made to get audiences in, and I think if it's doing that, and if new kids are getting excited into Star Wars because of this, then yeah, maybe it's not for us. Maybe it's for a new generation. So.
Yeah, that's very deep. Yeah. That's very true.
And I think what I was saying with The Mandalorian is they're still... I think Disney Plus and streaming services generally are quite a interesting new platform, because that can be where you put the niche stuff. That can be where you put the stuff for the fans. And that's why Rogue One and Solo weren't particularly big movies, because they weren't designed for cinema. Because what kid is going to be like, oh, I want to see the origin of that old guy who appeared and got stabbed in The Force Awakens? It's for them, it's just not going to mean as much. And same with Rogue One. Rogue One feels like a very niche film, and when it came out, people were confused. They were like, oh, where's Rey and where's Kylo Ren and stuff. So I mean, maybe Disney Plus is the platform for all that, but the Star Wars cinema releases as we know it, maybe that's where you put the fun stuff that isn't going to confuse people. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. It's very true. This will bring in a new generation of fans in, won't it?
Yeah, exactly.
That's very well said. Well done.
Thank you. Been thinking on it for a while. Should we go on to spoilers? Oh, just before we do that, if you had to give this a ranking out of 10, I've gone conventional.
Thank you. I was going to get annoyed if you done some weird method again. Out of 10, we'll do the like series rank at the end of spoilers, but out of 10, I struggle to give it much above a 6.5.
Yeah, I think I'd probably put it around that kind of point.
And that's the thing, I didn't, for the most part, enjoy it.
Yeah.
But there were some bits that were weird, some bits that were frustrating, some bits that were a bit pointless. It really was like throwing everything at the wall and seeing what stuck.
Yeah, and I feel like if it wasn't quite as safe, and if they just changed a couple of bits, I think it might have even gone up an entire point or so. Anyway, let's do spoilers.
There's a few bits. If they'd changed it, it would have probably changed the film for the better. But
yeah.
they were just doing what the people wanted.
Yeah.
Anyway, if you'll check the show notes to skip to the end if you don't want spoilers, go see the film, and then let us know what you think about it at CynOpt Podcast on Twitter. But we're going into spoilers in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Big spoilers.
Do you want to start, shall I?
I was going to say, just leading on from my last point, do you think it would have carried a bit more emotional weight if Rey had accidentally killed Chewie? And they rolled with it?
Possibly, yeah. And they don't even let that sit for very long.
No.
It sits for a scene, and then you see Chewie's alive and well.
Well, plus you see clips of Chewie and Lando flying the Falcon together from the trailers. So.
That's very true.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it would have added a bit of complexity to Rey's character, and because she doesn't. Okay, there's one kind of evil thing she does do in this film because she's the granddaughter of Palpatine, Sheev Palpatine. And at one point she stabs Kylo Ren, but then heals him. But I like that scene a lot, actually. But that's the kind of one evil moment you see in that entire film. So yeah, what did you think of the Sheev reveal? I'm going to keep calling him Sheev.
It was so interesting when she wasn't coming from an old Star Wars dynasty. Because then it made her this outsider who was disrupting the status quo and disrupting everything and having to find her place in it all. And that gave her a real good journey. And it's, as that old interview with Rian Johnson said, he wanted to give her the answer that was the most devastating for her character to hear.
Yeah.
And that's for somebody who doesn't know her own past, to be told that she doesn't actually have a past. Like, she's got nothing. She's not connected to this in any way. And then they're like, oh no, she's a Palpatine. Therefore, everything makes sense now.
Yeah. Because, I actually agree. And even though I think I was shocked at the time when The Last Jedi presented us with... Again, I've worn out the compare jar. I was shocked at the time when The Last Jedi, both within the sort of same scene even, gives you the reveal that Snoke dies, and then Rey doesn't have a familiar parentage. And I think that's not necessarily The Last Jedi's fault. I think it's kind of The Force Awakens set up a lot of... what's the word?
It set up a
loot
lot of
boxes.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. It's J.J. Abrams and his mystery boxes.
Mystery boxes, yeah.
I think if a lot of people blame The Last Jedi for following through with things that were set up in The Force Awakens. Like, for example, Luke Skywalker as one is probably one of the most contentious. But The Force Awakens establishes him as someone who ran away to hide on a distant planet, and also ends the film with him ragged and old on a cliff top, and then gets mad that The Last Jedi has to think of a good reason why.
Yeah.
It's just... And this brings me quite neatly back round to the Knights of Ren, which was the most pointless addition in this entire movie. They literally do nothing.
Yeah.
They walk around a bit. People go, oh, look, it's the Knights of Ren. They go to that desert planet. They get Chewie. And then they turn up at the end, where they just all get killed by Kylo.
Yeah.
Like, they have no depth. They're just a redo of the guards from the Last Jedi, just not as good.
Guards. Yeah. Well, I heard rumours as well that the Praetorian Guard might have been the Knights of Ren, but obviously not.
Like, that was just so pointless, and you can tell that was
Yeah.
literally just a tick a box for people that were upset that they weren't in the
There
Last
was a lot
Jedi.
of box ticking in this movie, which kind of made it a little boring at times. Another decision. I'm not gonna just sort of list things that I think the movie should have done, because I mean, who are we to say? But I would have found it interesting if Kylo lived.
Yes.
I think the fact that he died just kind of mirrored a bit too much of Vader, whereas I thought it would have been a slightly more interesting twist if it hadn't just followed Return of the Jedi, and that Kylo lives as a Jedi, even though he's got a kind of traumatic past where the Jedi failed him and he killed Han, and I don't know, I think it may have made a more...
opens the scene for a lot more of a redemption arc, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Whereas
I
he's
think
just assumed to be redeemed just because he helps out in that final moment and then he dies.
And it's not even inherently clear why he dies. I know he gives some life form to Rey in order to save her, because obviously she can give a bit of her life force to save the serpent and then save Kylo later on in the film.
That was a cool new force power to display. I know obviously it's an established one, but it was an interesting one to focus the movie around.
But yeah, no, I don't know. I think it would have been quite interesting to see them both survive, and it would have changed it from the sort of the Vader ending as well. I want to talk about the last shot of the movie, which went on record from, I think it was Kevin Smith who said J.J. Abrams invited him to come and see the location and the setting for the last shot of the entire Skywalker saga, and in the end it's back at the Lars homestead on Tatooine, which apparently Kevin Smith said it was J.J. Abrams said it would blow his mind. I'm not necessarily sure that's true, because before Disney bought Star Wars, the very last shot of the Skywalker saga was already the twin sons at the Lars homestead on Tatooine, because that's how Revenge of the Sith ends.
It's very true, yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. I think even in the marketing leading up to this, they kind of tried to make it out as if this was going to be a very, like, I don't know, bold movie that full of twists and turns and stuff. But I found it very safe the entire way through.
Yeah, right from the...
Because even the return of Palpatine is literal.
Yeah, no, it's very, very safe. They just... Yeah. And this is something they've taken straight from Legends as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
Palpatine has clones. He goes to the edge of space, starts building this armada of Star Destroyers, and then he starts to attack the New
which
Republic.
each have a Death Star in it as well.
Yeah, and that's the thing, like, we're back to planet-destroying weapons.
Yeah.
And as well, as much as not all of them hit home, The Last Jedi at least had new ships. We are back to A-Wings, Y-Wings, X-Wings, TIE Fighters, and Star Destroyers. Yeah. And the Tantive 4 comes back.
Yeah.
Like, that's been the most disappointing thing possibly for me about this entire sequel trilogy. Has been the lack of interesting new ships.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No. And general sort of production design. I think generally the production design's been good, and it's I don't blame, because I think I spoke briefly about him earlier on in the show about Doug Chiang, and I think he's got a great imagination. I follow him on Instagram, and some of the stuff he posts there, which is the unused stuff, I think is just gorgeous. Whereas I think the directors and the producers have said, no, keep this similar, please.
Yeah, like, now we're literally back to Imperial Star Destroyers.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was it's just like there's just disappointing stuff like that, and to continue on with just like the little bits that were. I want to try and keep this positive as well, because like I said, I did for the most part enjoy it. So, okay, let's go positive next, and I'll go back to criticism.
Well, I was going to say, like, that, again, what I said earlier is that we can moan about it all we like, but again, we're not the intended audience, are we?
No. At the end of the day, it's a sci-fi film intended for children.
And it works.
It does. Which, to be honest, links to my next point, which is getting all the voices of all the Jedi in.
Yes.
Which I thought was good. And I actually stayed to look at the credits to see exactly who they got in.
It was all of them, wasn't it? Even Liam
Pretty
Neeson
much,
and
yeah.
And Samuel L. Jackson, Hayden Christensen, Ewan McGregor. Yeah, that.
I was a bit disappointed there weren't any Force ghosts, but I can understand why you wouldn't.
Yeah.
Like, I was imagining something akin to Return of the King.
Let's talk about the... Oh, yeah. Should we talk about those Endgame moments? Do you think it was coincidental that there was a moment where...
The all is lost moment.
All is lost, all the ships turn up at once to say, on your left, to Poe Dameron, basically.
Yeah, and did all these thousands of ships all follow Rey's path?
No idea. Also, the moment in Endgame was quite impactful because you know who the other characters are. Yeah, I think, you can tell who Lando is, you can tell what the Falcon is, you can spot the Tantive 5, 4, whatever it is, but all the other ships are just like, what the fuck are these? I know there's a Porsche in there because of their product placement, but all the other ships are just kind of randos, and I don't know.
Yeah, it was just... Well, one, the whole, like, path to Exegol thing was really confusing to me anyway. Because that, like, red electricity storm only seemed like it covered one side of the planet, so you could have just gone round it.
Yes.
Two, then all these ships turn up, because they go to great lengths to show the rebels having to meticulously follow this path.
Yeah.
And then, like, 1,000 ships show up, and they're like, oh, okay. But then, that's nitpicking a bit.
And the other Endgame moment was, and I am all of the Jedi.
Yes. That was pretty cool, though, because he was like, I am all the Sith. Because he was like, it confirms a lot of stuff about the Sith, like, absorbing the consciousness of, like, their brethren or whatever.
Yeah, definitely.
And then she's like, no. And I did like the symbolism, the fact that it was Luke and Leia's lightsabers.
Yes, so do I. But again, if you wanted to confuse the film a bit less, why didn't you just make one of those lightsabers Luke's green lightsaber?
Yeah, because that just doesn't show up. Well, that only shows up in flashbacks, doesn't it, through this entire trilogy?
What? The Luke lightsaber, yeah.
Because surely it's on Acto somewhere.
Yeah. Plus, obviously, then you have to explain another thing. This is the thing. It's just there was so many like explanations in this one film that if they planned properly from the beginning and like left notes for Rian Johnson, and then originally it was supposed to be Colin Trevorrow, but if they left notes for the next two films and planned this all in advance, which I don't think they did, then they could have had a very interesting...
No, it kind of confirms to me that The Force Awakens was just written to set a lot of stuff up, safe in the knowledge that J.J. Abrams wasn't going to have to actually do anything with it. He was just like... he could just set stuff up and walk away. It's like farting in a lift.
Yeah, and then Kathleen Kennedy shoves him back in that lift.
Yeah, it's like, no, you have to smell this the same as the rest of us.
Do you think it was coincidence that those very endgamey moments happened in this film?
Not... Because the thing is that all the ships turning up at the all is lost moment is not just an endgame thing, is it?
No.
There's been a lot
but there were
films
thousands
that's
of
quite
ships.
A common trope, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because even the other Avengers films have that moment.
Yeah, but there were thousands of ships.
And I thought the line at the end was just kind of a cool response to him being, I'm all the Sith, and she's like, yeah, well, I'm all the Jedi. And actually there's a theme in this And to be honest, like the Rey and Kylo stuff was probably some. I saw your tweet from the Not My Star Wars Twitter account. The Rey and Kylo stuff was some of the better stuff, and that includes like, you know, your family doesn't define you.
Yeah.
Because
that's the thing, is that I think the most interesting thing I found about this movie was Rey and Kylo's storyline, and I think because there was so much going on, and the fact that they had to cram 3 movies worth of like overarching plot into one movie, essentially, I think just distracted a lot from that, because I just Adam Driver and Kylo Ren from the beginning to end of this movie, and from the, again, more The Last Jedi as well than The Force Awakens, but the sort of the redemption arc I think was beautifully handled, and I loved the Han Solo cameo, to be honest. I think that was actually one of the better nostalgia trips from this film.
Yeah. Well, that's how, because they say, isn't it? He's like, this is just my memories. It's not even like a ghost or anything like that. It's Kylo in his head doing what he should have done back on Starkiller Base.
Yeah, I think the mirror of that scene, actually, I that was the most emotional I got in the entire movie, was when I don't know what I have to do. I know what I have to do, but I don't know if I have the strength to do it. And then he just launches that lightsaber into the sea, and it just, beautiful. That was my highlight of the movie.
I mean, this is just a side note, but at the time, I didn't actually know how he was going to get off the second Death Star. I actually slightly thought that was just going to be the end of Kylo Ren's arc for the movie. He was just going to be on the second Death Star until someone went and got him.
Right, yeah.
Because he was just kind of... there's a few shots of him just kind of stood there being a bit like, well, shit.
I wish Kylo lived. I think it was a bit unfair after the redemption arc that he got. I think it was a bit unfair to kill him, because ultimately, like, he didn't even approve of Starkiller Base, and he didn't approve of the sort of mass slaughter and everything.
Well, have you seen the most recent retcon that the comics are doing?
No.
That Kylo didn't even kill all of Luke's students.
Right. Was it the Knights of Ren who were...
No, it was apparently Palpatine.
Oh, really?
Because everything bad that happens in the sequels has just been retconned to be Palpatine.
Right.
So he emerges from the rubble, because obviously he crushes him and Luke.
Yeah.
And lightning has struck the Jedi temple and killed a bunch of the students.
Oh.
He gets confronted by some of the others, and who like think it's him, and he even then doesn't kill him. He just is like, don't try it. Yeah. And then just runs off.
Yeah, I think it's quite disappointing that they had to kill Ben, but oh well. Not my movie. And yeah, that pretty much sums it up. Is that we're now the bitter old men who used to complain about the prequels. We're now that generation.
Well, the Rise of Skywalker was still better than at least 2 out of the 3 of the prequels. Probably 3 out of 3. Just by the fact that people are acting well.
Yes.
But yeah, there's so much movie in this movie.
Yeah.
They go onto a Star Destroyer to rescue Chewie, and like that's only like a 10-minute bit.
Yeah.
And that would in another film be like an entire arc.
What did you think? Just lastly, what did you think about the Skype lightsaber battles, which I famously pitched in our Pitch Episode 8 Cynical Optimist podcast? Do you remember that?
No, I don't remember you pitching it.
Yeah, I said Luke and Kylo. I pitched. I mean,
if we're talking about people predicting things, I predicted that Hux would turn on them.
Oh yeah, to be fair.
Which I felt he got seriously sidelined in this movie.
Yeah, for sure. I liked Richard E. Grant. He looked like he was having a good time.
Yes, but I think that was one of the threads from The Last Jedi that did get picked up and really paid off at the end. Like when she puts the lightsaber behind her back and then brings back her hand.
Yeah.
And he pulls out from behind him.
Yeah,
and
that was cool.
All of the Knights of Ren take a step back. Like, I think that was really good. I think there's a little bit of, like, how many mini lightsaber fights did you need throughout that film?
Yeah.
But it was
and flips.
really interesting.
More flip, like prequel era flips in this one, which was fun.
Mm.
So, just to wrap up, how would you rank the Star Wars Skywalker Saga?
One more thing I have to mention.
Oh, go on.
Does Finn have an arc in this movie, or is he just there to run after Rey? Like, nothing. He doesn't really seem to do anything. He just is.
I think he has an arc. I think
he meets other people like him.
Well, and he's force sensitive, and because he believes by the end of the movie, whereas I think he didn't really believe in what he was doing for the last two movies. So I think.
But that was kind of his arc in The Last Jedi. That's when he gets to his.
No, I disagree.
You will always be scum, rebel scum.
Kind of, but I think at the end of The Last Jedi, he's more like Poe at the beginning of The Last Jedi, in that he just wants to get in a ship and blow things up because he thinks that's the solution to things. Whereas, I don't know, I think like he's more at peace and he believes in it more in this film. But anyway, go on. What's your definitive ranking? And it's not definitive because there's no such thing as definitive. And as I said, I watched The Last Jedi recently and I had a really good time. So I mean, there's no such thing as a definitive ranking on these.
I was going to say, like, it will probably change every time you recount it.
Yeah.
Same with me. Okay, so from the bottom up.
Yeah.
Attack of the Clones.
Yeah.
The Phantom Menace.
Uh-huh.
Solo.
No, I'll just do the saga. Just do the
Okay. Oh, just those three.
No, just do the Skywalker Saga.
Oh, just the Skywalker Saga. Okay, well, Solo goes in there anyway.
Yeah.
He doesn't care about your rules, old man. The middle is actually where it gets the most difficult. The Rise of Skywalker.
Mm-hmm.
Return of the Jedi. Revenge of the Sith. So, which ones have I got left? The Force Awakens, Rogue One, The Last Jedi, A New Hope, Empire.
Sounds pretty similar.
I was going to say, when this new trilogy started, I think our lists were quite separate, but they've almost been lining up as we've been talking to each other more about these films.
I think The Force Awakens is still a great film. I think like there's it relies more on nostalgia than what it does. But then I think it's a great achievement to set up what it does set up. And there's a lot of thought to it, and I think the skill behind the filmmaking is incredible.
And as J.J. Abrams likes evoking Palpatine. Have you? It was like a reply on Twitter. It was like the Star Wars fans to J.J. Abrams after The Force Awakens. You will pay for your lack of vision. Anyway, so would yours be the same?
Mine would be something more like. I mean, again, this is at the moment. Hang on, I'm gonna write them down. And again, like I know we both think all the Star Wars films are pretty good. It's a pretty solid franchise, all in all.
Yes, well, for the most part. Like, the prequels will still have a bit of nostalgia glasses for us both.
Yeah.
But I'm just going to say it, the Attack of the Clones is just... The acting is just terrible. And the dialogue is, at times, quite rapey.
Yes.
So, you know, it's... And I think we can still be fans, and you can still be a fan, acknowledge shortcomings of something.
Yeah, for sure.
That's an attitude that just needs to go away in certain.
Because I think you could look at like The Last Jedi and Attack of the Clones. I will always have similar flaws in that I think there are good stories in both those movies, but I think sometimes the priorities slip from the direction. Because the whole of Canto Bight, I know it has message, but I don't think the message is really put to screen incredibly well. And same with Attack of the Clones, in that I love Obi-Wan Kenobi's sort of storyline in that movie, and where it culminates to in the action and the arena. But I think, as you say, Anakin's side storyline is pretty atrocious. I would go something like Phantom Menace at the bottom, then Attack of the Clones, then A New Hope, then Rise of Skywalker, then Revenge of the Sith, then Force Awakens, then Return of the Jedi, then The Last Jedi, then Empire. But again, that's a very it's an elastic band, isn't it? The Star Wars franchise, that's always going to flex and change, and context always changes a movie as well, and at what time you watch it, and where politically things stand, and and all sorts.
But everyone can agree that Empire is the best.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, that's the conclusion that we all came here to hear.
And that's the last Star Wars movie, so Empire will always be the best Star Wars movie because there's no more coming. Ever.
Disney have got their money's worth, they're just going to let the franchise die. Ba-dum-ts.